So a couple of videos back I started to make the top of Poppins restaurant out of using plastic card covered with paper, but I've actually gone ahead and put the concrete effect in. I've simply used a sponge and dipped it into different greys and different whites and beiges to give a really good concrete effect, and just stippled it on. Fantastic. And you can see it leaves that kind of primer underneath, gives this kind of weathered effect, and it all in turn looks really quite realistic. So you know, I'm really quite happy with that, with how this has turned out. I've never used this technique really in this way before, and so to kind of see it weather up quite nicely, I thought yeah, it looked the part, looked nice and realistic. So this week's really about the signboard and airbrushing it, and how I airbrush it, because I actually try to weather solely with the airbrush on this occasion. Started by applying some primer, grey primer, and just covered the whole piece, which means that then the paints will actually stick to the pieces of plastic quite effectively then. Now I needed to kind of show some weathering underneath at the very base of it, the metalwork shining through, so I painted on with just some Vallejo silver in different spots where, you know, the metalwork was going to show through. I used the references to make sure that I was kind of in the same place as where they are, and so it looks all similar to the original wear and tear that had gone on. So that was the first step. Then I put some toothpaste on top of these little areas, because basically this is going to protect that base coat of paint, meaning that when I spray all the acrylic paint on, these won't be touched. So afterwards I can use some water and a brush to simply remove the toothpaste, and it will leave underneath this kind of opening where the metalwork's shining through. This was a case of just getting a little coffee stirrer and just putting a bit of toothpaste on each bit. I could have done with letting the paint dry, I think, before I did this, but it worked anyway. I think it kind of adds to the effect overall, which you will see at the end of the video. So next I've actually mixed up a colour, the kind of orangey colour that I wanted to start with, but this is me getting the airbrush out and fixing it together, putting the pipe on for the air from the compressor, putting a bit of airbrush thinner and which is alcohol, some red, a bit of black to just darken it, and we're going to go for a kind of, this is like the basic undercoat that we're going to go for here. Get a bit of umber in as well. But yeah, I'll put it on my hand there just to like kind of mix it in. That's how I like to mix my colours. And then it's a case of just layering it on, and you'll see that I'll take my time to just kind of run my hand backwards and forwards to ensure that there's a nice covering. Obviously you don't get like a massive covering from the nozzle, but the way I have it set up, it means I can kind of be quite accurate with it, but at these speeds, which is a time lapse, so just make it look really quick. I'm just making sure that the colour's coming through there. So this is me also adding some kind of like streaking, so some darker areas, particularly on the join lines. I've added some black maybe in to kind of darken the reddy orange, and you know, I want this to shine through, like show through, and I've painted the whole piece. So this does look a bit over the top, but it's a proper sort of pre-shading, I think they call it. People with that do aircraft modelling or making you know, planes and things. And I think Star Wars models as well, particularly, they would be very good at doing this. All the people that do those Millennium Falcons, which do look absolutely awesome, they all do this pre-shading, usually with black, and then they go over in the lighter tones, and it just shows through afterwards. But this is where I kind of realised it had gone slightly wrong for me, because as I was putting these coats on, I realised that that silver paint is actually going to show through, which isn't going to help at all, because you'll get these sort of spots of silver or spots underneath the paintwork. I did what I always do and be happy to start over again. So this time I applied the primer over all of the toothpaste points which have the silver underneath. So this is me getting back on the horse after having a little moment of, I've just wasted half an hour. This is my mental process of getting through this, which has been a big topic recently, I think. You know, mental health, and particularly I think you need to go and follow Making for Your Mind by Soph for Make It Soph, and she's really on board with trying to show how making is helping people that are struggling perhaps with depression or those kind of topics and those areas, and how important it is for you. But so please, yeah, go and follow her on that, and you'll see me on there. Actually, I was included on the questions and answers, so really cool. But so yeah, this is me going through the processes that I've kind of just shown you, trying to catch back up again. So yeah, you can see those undertones, and at one time I wouldn't have been able to do this because I would have not been able to recreate what I've just done, but I feel like I've kind of got to a point where I can do these things. This is me adding a lighter shade of the orange, trying to cover up those pre-shading points, and you'll slowly see through the time lapse that they do show through. The more layers that I put on, they get fainter, but they still show, and that's the point, because it shows that there's 4 panels to this part, and yeah, I think it really makes it look better than just a clean piece stuck up there. So the other thing is you don't want to oversaturate the piece either. That's the thing I'm wary of always, so don't get too much water on there. So compared with the actual real one, I think I'm getting close. You know, it looks quite decent, and this is the finished piece. This is where it ended up. So I really enjoyed doing this piece this week, and I hope you enjoyed watching and seeing me fail and get back on the horse. But yeah, if you want to see more of this, tune in next week, and I think I'll be cutting out some letters, and maybe making some chairs. I'll have to see whether that's ready for that. But cheers.